The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
Welcome. Good evening, everybody. This is beexposedradio. This is Skylyne radio show. I hope all is well with everybody. It is the holiday season. The holiday season is just upon us. As soon as we get through this Halloween weekend, don't know what's going on with my co-host. She's been going through some personal things, so hopefully she'll be back with us next week. But we got a good guest this week as usual. I'll take care of it. Trying to do 50 million things at once. I'm on vacation. I'm over in Dover, Delaware, hanging out with the family. Our guest tonight, she's in hot Atlanta. Everybody know her. She's been on here once or twice. Give it up, everybody, for Miss Latesha.
Hey, everyone.
We're gonna dive right on into this because this is about to get crazy real quick because people don't like to be quiet when people are in meetings. Latesha, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, and thanks for having me tonight.
How long you been down Atlanta now? 2 years, 3 years?
It's been 2 years. I moved July 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. Actually, when the pandemic first, I guess, July 2020. So at its height.
Before I get stuck, let me get up out of here. I get it. I should have left too. I was supposed to leave this year actually, and that's a decision that I regret not doing now. But next year, I'm gonna make them plans.
All right.
So we'll see what happens. Things might change.
Okay.
I don't plan on changing my mind. I want out.
Understand.
Go back home, start over. Fresh city, fresh start.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what you gonna do with the foundation? What you gonna do with the show? The show must go on. I'll just be in Chi-Town, that's all.
Right.
If I'm in Dover and Be Exposed Radio's in Baltimore and you're in Atlanta, I don't think anything can stop us.
That's right.
That's the upside of Zoom. It don't matter where you are. As long as you got internet access, you can do pretty much whatever you want. So, and I got internet service for one component, but I can't access nothing, and I don't know why. Well, that's one reason, because I'm in the wrong file, and now I can't get out of this file. So, Miss Latesha, let's start with number one. School teacher.
Yes.
What made you decide to be a school teacher?
Wow. So, my story in becoming an educator is not that typical story. Everyone says, oh, I was just so inspired. No, it wasn't that at all. When I was little, I used to like to play school with my sister. My sister is 7 years younger than me. And so when she was young, I remember when we were younger, I remember playing school one day and teaching her how to spell cat. And I was just so amazed that here I am, a child, teaching my little sister how to spell cat. So I just had fun doing that. Never thought about being a teacher. Then I was in college, and I was majoring in telecommunications. I was at Morgan State University at the time. And my freshman year of college, my first semester, I got pregnant with my son. So after having my son, I was sitting here thinking, this field that I'm in, I need to have a job right out of college. I got to take care of my baby. So I decided, you know what, let me try my hand in teaching. So I decided to change my major, went into education. And I'm glad my son came along and had me change my major, because I really enjoy teaching. It's not easy. It's not for the weak. I am, even though I love teaching, I am ready to get out of the classroom and do some of my own things in education, because I just see the way things are going in education. So yeah, that's how I became a teacher.
There's more to it than that.
I'm serious. That is exactly how I became a teacher. And I've been doing it for 15 years. I've taught in 4 different districts, 5 schools, and now 2 states. And so I enjoy the experience. I've taught in most of my career. I've taught in Title I schools. For those that don't know, Title I schools are those schools that are in underserved communities, or a large number of the population of students are in poverty and things like that. And so, I prefer. I prefer teaching in those schools, because, I know that's my calling, to help and to serve the underserved population. And so that's what I do. I love doing that. And I've worked with so many different populations of students, and I love it. I've worked with a very diverse background of students. I've taught grades 2 through 8. So yeah.
Okay. What city would you prefer teaching in, Atlanta or Baltimore?
Oh, see, down here, there's no teacher unions. And so they get away with having the teachers having to work the teachers a lot more. The workload down here is just crazy. I'm telling you, what they get away with, they couldn't do it in Baltimore or any place where there's a union. I like it's a talk, because it's like, if I teach in one place, I got to give up another. So if I teach in Georgia, I got to, like I am now, I got to give up the fact that I can't be in a union, which I prefer. But I have so much access to different resources that I didn't even have in Baltimore. Like all of my students have laptops. I didn't I've never been in a school where my students had laptops. Every student has their own laptop. They take it home every day. And so our kids have that. I have access to a lot of technology that I didn't have in Baltimore. But like I said, it's in Baltimore, the kids down here, it took me a while to get used to the kids saying ma'am and yes ma'am and all that. But back home, it was just like, huh? What? So, but the kids are kids. I still love them, whether they're in Baltimore or Georgia. So I can't really say which one. It's the same struggles everywhere. It's just, if I teach home, I have that protection of the union, but I don't have those resources that I have right now, or that I'm using right now. Back home, I felt like it was encouraged more to get closer to your kids. Like it wasn't, I don't want to say encouraged. It just felt like back home, I could really get close to my kids like I wanted to. Like, I started my nonprofit and my mentoring for my youth development program for girls in my classroom. And I used to work with my girls every weekend. I would literally see my girls sometimes 7 days a week. because I would have them Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays and sometimes Sundays, we would do some type of volunteer activities or whatever it is. And so I got close to my students. Down here, I don't feel like I can do that as much because, it's really, I don't want to say it's scrutinized, but it's just like, if I have a student that needed a ride home, I couldn't be able to do that. Back home, if a student needed a ride home, they could hop in my car and I could take them. They wouldn't recommend it, but nobody wouldn't frown upon it. Down here, it's like, no, you can't do that. Don't do that. And this, and the other. And it's just, I don't know. I can't get as close to my students as I was back home.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What grades have you taught?
So I've taught grades 2 through 8, and in the summertime, a couple of summers, I've taught high school kids.
What's the most challenging?
7th grade. 7th grade. That's where I had my. I don't know if you know the story. Oh wow! So I get to tell a story. So, I'm a mental health advocate and speaker, right?
That's right.
Okay. So
I've heard your story.
Okay. So 7th grade is the grade where I had that big blow up with a student and it was all on news and stuff. Yeah. So you hear that story.
All right.
But that's the story I share when I talk about mental health. I was dealing with a lot of mental health struggles. And I was really also dealing with teacher burnout. And I had a student, one of my triggers as it relates to my mental health is I don't like to see people mistreated. I don't like it at all. I don't like bullying. So I saw a student do that to another student. And I let her know she couldn't act like that in the classroom. Well, things got heated. She gets to one level. I get to the next level. It's a shouting match, right? And then I was recorded by another student. And then that student put it all on Facebook and then it went viral. And before you know it, I was on the news as this crazy teacher that went off on this student. I didn't curse her out. I didn't throw anything. I just let her know, like, I'm not going to act like that in my classroom. And so I guess because it wasn't handled in a professional manner, and then we had to think about it. I'm a Black teacher. This was Anne Arundel County.
Okay.
And the student was a white female student. And I got all kinds of racial hate email. But this is the funny thing. The student that I was protecting from her, the student that she was bothering that made me angry was a white male student. But yet people came down on me like I was this teacher that was, it was just crazy. It's like I'm protecting a white male student and y'all coming at me with these racial attacks because and it wasn't about hit their skin color. It was just the fact that she was wrong and I wasn't going to let her do what she was doing to this kid. And so people saw this Black teacher and a white female student. And when I tell you, you wouldn't believe it. So some of the things that were said to me.
Oh, yeah,
and say it again.
Yeah, I would. I believe it.
It was sad because it was like, for me, the background to that story, people just saw one snapshot. They didn't see the whole, everything that was, the teacher that was like literally burned out and it was taken on more than what I could, what I should have been given. And then on top of that, I was also dealing with my own mental health battles because I was dealing with the stigma of mental health because I had just been diagnosed with bipolar type 2 a year prior. And so I didn't want to believe that I had this because it's getting better now, but then the stigma was so real. So I was not being consistent on my treatment. And so when I got triggered, that's what happened. And that's what I tell as part of my story when I'm speaking on mental health. And that's what happened. So, but 7th grade, I would say even before then, no, after then, I taught 7th grade for another year. And I was just like, oh my God, it was 7th grade was the hardest for me. So yeah, that's when I realized. The second year was my, after that situation where I taught 7th grade again, that's when I realized I'm not doing this. I can't do 7th grade. Yeah.
What's the favorite grade you've taught?
4th.
Babies.
Yes, I love 4th. I love the high school kids too when I did it in the summertime, but you can't do those fun things that you do with elementary babies. So I like 4th grade.
Right. How far do you want to take your education career?
Actually, in 6 weeks, I will be finishing my master's and getting my certificate in administration. So yeah, I want to go into administration. And I want to do some coaching though. Even though I have my administration certificate, I'll have my degree in education and leadership. After that, hopefully in May, I'll be starting my doctoral program to see carefully how, seeing how things go. I want to get my doctorates in curriculum and instruction because I want to design curriculum for children of different cultures, because I feel like a lot of the curriculum that's being taught to kids now is not designed for children from different cultures, because they're not taught about, Asian Americans are not taught about their history. Black Americans are not taught enough about their history. Hispanics are not taught enough, And so I want to design curriculum that is friendly for all cultures, because yes. So
the narrative of education needs to be changed all across the board so bad it's crazy.
Yes. So that's what I'm doing.
History is exactly what it is, and we're not being taught that. We weren't taught that when me and you were in school. These kids ain't being taught that today. It's one form of history, and that's it. And that's all the way across the board false.
Yes, like just imagine, it took for me to teach 5th grade down here in Georgia to learn about how the Chinese immigrants were really the main people responsible for building constructing the Transcontinental Railroad, yet they got no credit for it. And whenever you see pictures of the Transcontinental Railroad, the celebrations of it, you see no Asian Americans in it, no Chinese. And it was just like, why am I just learning about this now? So, things like that or other history. So it's just like, I want to do something where I'm teaching children of all nationalities something about their history through the basic subject areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about diva effect.
Okay. So the diva effect, honestly, that was started in 2016. I was living in Baltimore at the time, and it was during my Christmas break. Let me give you the backstory for that. Okay. I had always wanted to find a group or a program to help women, and not just help women, but to help women in underserved communities to get on their feet. Like I said, it took for me up until this year to finally articulate what I knew, what my purpose and my calling was. But then I couldn't understand it. But my purpose and calling is to help the underserved communities by giving them the tools that they need to be successful. So whether, helping them to develop skills, whether it's connecting them to resources and things like that, because the Diva Effect, once again, was birthed out of my desire to help those, because I remember when I had my son and I was on welfare and getting WIC and things like that. And I didn't find out about different resources until sometimes late, and then, it was a struggle to get on my feet. And so I said, once I got on my feet, you know, it's just like, well, I don't want another woman had to struggle like I did. I want to be able to take what I learned on my own and help other women who through different life trials or whatever, they just need to try to land on their feet. They're going through different things. And so that's what I developed the Diva Effect for, was to teach women who are in underserved communities, invest in them, to give them those skills, those opportunities and responsibilities to be who God intended them to be. So I developed this program. We had great workshops. Women were coming. But then it was just like we were coming up with all these great workshops, these resources. They were free. But a lot of people in Baltimore weren't taking advantage of it as much as I had hoped that they would. What they were doing were coming to get stuff instead of coming to get skills,
Yeah.
and it was discouraging to me. It really was discouraging to me, because it's just like, why? Like, how that saying goes, if you give a man a fish, he can eat for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. For me, I wanted to teach people how to fish, but they were coming to me to get fish. And it was just like, that's not what I wanted. And so I took a break from it for a while to figure out what am I going to do to find the right people to serve. And so one day a young lady said, won't you start, your girls group? What happened was, a couple of years during that time, I was working with young ladies doing another girls group, and I had brought that chapter to my school. So, and I said, okay, instead of bringing that chapter to my, doing that chapter again, I got my own nonprofit. Let me just create one under my own nonprofit. So I started a girls mentoring group, or youth development group called the Diva Dolls. And in our first cohort, I'm so impressed with them because they were doing what I was expecting the adult women to do in Baltimore City. They were coming not to get stuff. They were coming to get skills. They were coming to get knowledge. They were coming to learn how to better themselves. And let me tell you, these were 10 and 11-year-olds. Now, let's think about that. 10 and 11-year-olds coming to get skills that they needed to be a better person. When I'm sitting up here, doing what I can to get adults to do that. Right. These girls, when in my first cohort, within their first year, they completed over 300 hours of community service. Everything that I put in front of them as it relates to community service, they were ready to do it. No questions asked. They were excited about doing it. And I remember one of the community service things that they had to do, was to help with feeding the homeless in one of your events. And what a lot of people don't know is that some of these same girls, one of the girls, even though she was coming to feed displaced residents in Baltimore City, she had experienced homelessness. So the fact that she was still going to do that, so I started now I said, okay, I don't want to say it's too late for adults because they're set in their ways sometimes. But I'm like, I started changing things to focus more on the youth, because if I can get them at that young age where they're excited about doing things for others, and then I plant that seed in it, then that seed would just grow. And if I continue to nurture, that seed will continue to grow. So when they become an adult, they would do what I had envisioned with my program. They would then go back and in turn help other people. So that's what the Diva Effect is about. So it's like the butterfly effect. It's like, the butterfly effect is like when you one small change or one small thing, if I read it correctly, one small thing can release a big effect somewhere else, or like a ripple or a wave. And so the Diva Effect is the same thing. You're getting a woman to change the whole community by working on her. So that's what we're doing.
It's like me and Shorty say, it takes a village to do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. I love what I do. I love going out there and serving the community, the homeless, the less fortunate, the community. Um, if you want some, come get some. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
homeless and less fortunate, leave a donation. I don't care if it's $1, but don't come over here just taking stuff because it's available, because you don't need it as bad as the next person does.
Right.
Are you involved in any homeless organizations down in Atlanta?
Not yet. And actually I partner with a church down here where we want to try to do something for the Thanksgiving holiday. So I have not partnered with anyone yet down here, but I am looking to do that. I haven't, when I first got down here, it was just to get myself just rooted here as much, plant some roots to do, get myself situated here. So now I'm starting to do things with my nonprofit down here now.
You can come back home.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Come
Not that
up
I
and
don't miss. I do miss parts of Baltimore. I think, I think I am where God wants me to be. Baltimore is always going to be my home. I got roots there, and I got deep roots there. My grandfather was a very well-known pastor there. He has a street named after him. So he has a nursing home, an affordable housing facility named after him. So, he was one of the founding members of the Harbor Bank of Maryland. So I got some roots there. So, I would never not want, in fact, one of my dreams, if, things go well, when things go well, is to open up a community center there in my grandfather's and my grandmother's name. Because my grandmother on my mother's side, she was the pioneer for one of the now it's called the Fort Worthington. I think it's called the Fort Worthington Neighborhood Association. I forgot the name of it, but she was one of the people back then, long time. It used to be called the Berea Association, I think. She was one of the founding people that started that community group. And so, in my blood, in my veins run service to the community. So what I want to do is, and I even know what building I want to take and use, but I want to take one of Baltimore's dilapidated buildings and turn it into a community and resource center. So that's a dream of mine. Now, I don't want to live back there, but I do want to go back and do that. Yeah.
I don't know when, because this whole COVID thing has just made everything 10 times harder than what it was before.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna make my way down Atlanta one of these days. Get Atlanta started, get Charlotte started. I got people in both cities that are like, I'm ready when you come down.
Let me tell you, the population down here, the homeless I know Baltimore was struggling, right? I saw it with the displaced when I used to volunteer in the shelters for displaced veterans. But when I moved down here and I saw the amount of homelessness, oh my gosh, it's sad. It's sad. So they can really definitely use you down here.
I'm ready and willing. Send me a plane ticket. Yeah, I got a handful of people that are just like, let us know when you're coming. Mm-hmm. Like I got a handful of people back home. They're like, we're ready when you move back home. Get you 2 weeks and get yourself situated, get your mind right, and then let's do this. And I already know where I want to be. I want to be down on the water, where they do all the river walks and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's in the heart of downtown. That's where they're all mostly at, because that's your tourist areas. That's where a lot of food is available. You want to find food in an inner city, find a bunch of restaurants, find resources that's going to allow them to eat, figuratively speaking. You know, there's a lot downtown because of everything that's available downtown. In Baltimore and DC too. You know, you got your different drugstores, you got your entertainment facilities for kids, for adults, for both families. You got Power Plant, you got the Inner Harbor, you got Fells Point, you got Harbor East, you got Fed Hill, all within walking distance. So you have a lot of resources available in Baltimore for someone that's homeless or less fortunate. That involves food, water, juice, soda, something. So I hope Baltimore never goes the route like these two other cities that have been locking up old people for giving homeless people food, because that's just crazy.
Mm.
I could understand I could understand if me and Shorty and other organizations, whether it be Baltimore, DC, Atlanta, Chicago, LA, New York, whatever, we're doing homeless events. And if you're not homeless, we're selling something to you. Okay, we might be breaking a law or two because we don't have a permit. I get that. But we're not doing that. We're giving stuff away. Like Florida, they locked up a guy in his 90s a couple years ago. I don't remember if it was right before or right after COVID. But you're in the 90s. How do you look locking up a 90-year-old man because he's giving someone that's homeless food? You look
Wow.
real crazy. And then it's all over the news right now. They locked up, I don't remember what city, but they locked up a woman in her 70s.
Mm.
You look real ridiculous.
It's almost like they don't want people to help those that are less fortunate. You know what I mean? It's like
stop stealing all the money and do what you're supposed to do with those figures, and maybe homeless people won't act the way they do. Maybe they won't have to beg so much. Like, come on now. You got all these vacant homes in and around downtown, in and around Baltimore, the outskirts of Baltimore. You got so many. Why don't you take a whole block on both sides, gut them out, and transform them into some type of living arrangement? Like if you got a warehouse, transform like Job Corps and colleges, dorms and stuff. Transform them things into sections and get your different organizations, nonprofit organizations, 501c3s, and allow us to run these facilities. Even if you got to charge, because we're getting electricity, we're getting gas, we're getting water. If you got to charge us, then charge us. How many organizations are in Baltimore? I think we can fork out that bill. You know what I mean? So, but if it's going to help 500 to 1,000 homeless people in Baltimore, uproot themselves out of the situation they're in so they can be fed on a daily basis, so they can bathe on a daily basis, you might be able to transform the mindset of how they think.
right.
You give someone a little bit of independence, they might be able to better themselves. They might be able to transform to where they once were before they got into the situation they got into. And I say this stuff all the time. I sound like a broken record. Just because you're homeless don't mean you got a drug problem. Just because you're
Right.
homeless don't suffer from mental illness. Just because you're homeless don't mean you got a drinking problem. Just because you're homeless don't mean you made bad choices in life. Didn't we just go through a pandemic? Over 10 million people in this country alone became homeless because of COVID-19. Over 10 million people. I think it's closer to 20 million, but I don't know. But over 10 million people became homeless because they lost their way of life. You can't work, you can't pay bills. Bill man don't want to hear that. BG&E don't want to hear that. Gas and electric don't want to hear that. I want my money. You know what I mean? So you lose your house, you lose your car. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, as adults, we suffered a lot. What you mean I can't leave my house? What you mean there's nothing open? What you mean I can't go to work? And we did that for almost 3 months. Imagine how the kids were feeling. Now, these kids nowadays, they a different type of child, because we didn't have materialistic things with technology that they have nowadays. So it's like a lot of us, as our kids were growing up, my I wasn't rich, but my child didn't want for nothing. He didn't want for nothing. He didn't need for nothing. If he wanted it, it's because he's greedy. What child ain't greedy? I want what my friend has. I want what's new in the store. Oh, I gotta get this game. No, you need to get a job. Um, but it's like kids don't like going out nowadays. They rather stay in the house, play on a computer, play video games, or whatever. So, as far as crime, we didn't really have to worry about our kids, but so much, because we knew they weren't out running the streets doing something, whether it's
Right.
good or bad. You can have the best kids in the world, but they can get caught up in a situation.
Mhm.
Life happens to all of us.
Right.
So, I don't know if you ever met my son. He came out a few times when we was under the bridge. I think he came out once when we was over at the shot tower, and we weren't there long because that was just a fiasco. Uh,
Mm.
he came out a couple times when we were in Fells Point, and he's come out, I believe, once, if not twice, since we've been at Charles Plaza. And I think we've been at Charles Plaza for the better part of 2.5 years.
Mm.
So I like Charles Plaza. I think once we got to a level of what we were before we originally stepped away from under the bridge, I wish we would have went to Charles Plaza, because I've always wanted to be in an area where you have an abundance of foot traffic, an abundance of vehicle traffic, because all you see in Baltimore is negative, 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 negative. Why can't y'all ever change the narrative of how y'all do the news? Something positive, y'all want to do maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Where if it's something derogatory, something negative, crime, you want to glorify the hell out of it and talk about it for 15, 20 minutes. People tired of hearing it. That's why people don't watch the news. So, but I love where I'm at. Before we actually came, I started asking, I think it was in 2019, I started asking a couple of the businesses, some of the security that patrol in the area, a couple of the Baltimore City cops, um, about what we wanted to do. And they were like, I didn't get no from nobody.
Mhm.
I didn't ask all the businesses. I just asked a couple, out of respect, because this is your side of town. I don't want to overstep my boundaries, figuratively speaking. 7-Eleven loves us, because every time we need something, we just go in there and get something. Um, we've gone into the Streets Market and Cafe and made some purchases a few times if we needed something that 7-Eleven just simply doesn't have. But we really like the area. We're starting to build our street team again. We just partnered with Morgan State University. I'm very excited
Awesome.
about that. We've had a partnership with them in the past. Things happen. I don't know what happened, but things happen, and that didn't last long at all. But it is what it is, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Um, but I don't know if they heard through us through a mutual party or what, but it don't matter. The partnership was formed, and we look forward to working with them and partnering with them and doing bigger and better things. Next year, when the spring comes, um, right before COVID, we were going to try to do, or no, right after COVID hit, we were going to try to do a cleanup crew, start a cleanup crew, clean up the waterways as best we can around like Harbor East and Fells Point, Canton. You know, if we can dip a net in and get the trash that's floating right there, it'll be a good look for the city. You know what I mean? If there's trash on the ground as we're walking around, let's clean that up.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's so many different things that you can do to better this city and give it a better look versus just complaining and complaining and complaining about the same thing over and over and over again. Like people with these trashed out alleys, you keep complaining about it, but yet you're not doing nothing.
Right. You still dumping stuff in it.
You want people to do something, get out there and do something. Someone will eventually come out there and help you. And before you know it, you have a team because everyone else is tired of looking and complaining about it too. So you got to start somewhere. It was me and my business partner feeding the homeless. And at one time, we were averaging 20, 30 volunteers, and we were averaging between 200 and 300 homeless people that we were serving every week in Baltimore and in DC. So we're trying to get back to them numbers. A couple months ago, we just found out about a women's shelter around the corner from Charles Plaza. So we're starting to do a lot more for them because we know they're there. A lot of them women, summertime, wintertime, whatever, they're not going to come out. I don't know what type of resources they have available. I'm not going to say I don't care. I just know what we would like to do. So the more we meet, the more we can have them conversations with those ladies and young girls. What do you need? What are you allowed to take in there? So that's why I've been stressing the fact with our annual winter coat and blanket drive this year. Like we need these items. Like we really need these items because I don't know how many women are in there. You and I both know people come and go on a daily basis in a shelter. Some of them come back, some of them don't. Some of them actually get into programs to get out of the shelter. Eventually they get their housing, they get their WIC, their welfare, their food stamps, their meds. Now they're working on getting a source of independence, and through their programs they're finally getting a job. Through these programs they've been taught how to pay bills again because they've been homeless for however long. I know a gentleman, he's been homeless 40 years. New York, Chicago, and Baltimore. And I was like, that can't be a way to live. I didn't say that to him, but I'm thinking to myself, that can't be a way to live. But you've been homeless so long, you've been set in your ways so long that it just came natural to you. And you know how it is when you're dealing with the public. You don't see people for a certain amount of time. You start to question, hey, have you seen so and so? Hey, how's so and so doing? We ain't seen him in a minute. And I ran into him one day at an event, and he was like, hey man, you gonna be proud of me. I finally got what he say? I finally took myself off my own pedestal and I asked for help. He said, man, I've been in a program, I've been on my meds, I've been cleaning up my ways, and I'm next on the list to get my housing. I said, man, 40 years, this man's been homeless. So all I can do is pray for him and hope for the best, because it's just like being in prison. You've been in prison so long, you don't know how to survive out here. So you're quick to do something to go back because you're institutionalized. That man's institutionalized with the streets. So I haven't seen him. No one that knows him that we deal with have seen him. So Hopefully he's doing really good. Hopefully I don't see him unless it's for a good reason.
Right.
So that's the ultimate goal with any of the organizations in any city. We want to see you get back to a form of life. You know what I'm saying? It's a struggle. It's hard. At the end of the day, it's okay not to be okay. You have your days. I have my days.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are good, but we're human. We're people. You got to take the good with the bad sometimes.
Right.
So, but I love what I do. I love what you do.
Thank
As a
you.
teacher, I'll pray for you. Um, I've come across so many more teachers in the last year, and I'm just like, what do you need? Because you're supposed to be provided XYZ in case your students don't have it. And I've gotten so many teachers. It's not just Baltimore City. It's not just Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, Harford County, Howard County. It's
Every-
it's it's everywhere. I've talked to people in Pittsburgh and Philly and Chicago, Denver, San Francisco, Seattle, and they're just like, we don't have it. We're supposed to get it through the school system, through the board of education, whatever, but we don't get it. It's just like Baltimore City's supposed to have all this available when it comes to heat and air for the kids. Where'd all that money go that you were supposed to get these AC units and these heating units?
Yeah, I
So,
think that's ridiculous because I remember I'm a product of Baltimore public school system. And I remember days when we used to have to get out early because it was too hot in the building. You know
right.
what I mean? I remember that as a student. Now,
Hmm.
just imagine years later. Now, I'm not ashamed to say my age. I'm 44. Years later, I come back and I teach in the same system. Baltimore was like my third district that I came back to teach. I come back and I teach in the same system. And one year, the first 2 days of school, first day or two of school, we get out early because it was too hot to be in the building.
Right.
And I'm like, come on, after all this time, y'all still can't fix put air in these places. You know what I mean? You still can't put heat where it's supposed to be heat. Like it's ridiculous. I'm like, I went to these schools and then had to come back and teach. I went to these schools and experience not having heat and things like that, or being too hot in the winter, in the summertime, and then have to come back and
Uh-oh.
experience the same thing as a teacher. It's like, come on. That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, we got technical difficulties because I just lost my screen.
Oh, but I can
There.
still hear you.
All right, I'm back.
All right.
That was crazy. I was like, uh-oh, what did I do? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that again. Um, yeah, it's sad that these kids in this day and age still don't have heat and AC. That's ludicrous.
It is. It is.
What are you gonna do though? So, um, let's talk about your podcast. I didn't know you had a podcast until I don't know how long you had it when I found out. I found out a few months ago. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to be on her podcast. I'm trying to be on her show. You laughing? I'm serious.
I know you are. That's why.
Exactly. I like being on other people's show. I'd rather be on their show than my own show. Ain't that something? I like being. I don't like being. You know me. I don't like being a spotlight. Everyone's like, yeah, you're in charge. You're the boss. No, I'm not. I'm just a man with the ideas. They're the boss. this happens because of them. What gave you the idea for the name?
The Inside the Chrysalis. So I found out when I was doing this, there's another podcast that's called Inside the Chrysalis. So I love the name so much. I said, I just turned it to Inside the Chrysalis with Latesha Higgs. But when you think of a chrysalis, the chrysalis, we're so used to saying a butterfly's cocoon. Butterflies don't have a cocoon. They have what's called a chrysalis. Moths have cocoons, but it's the same thing almost. And so with a chrysalis, inside of it, the caterpillar literally goes through a remarkable, profound transformation to, like, I don't think people really understand what the caterpillar goes through to become a butterfly. When I finally studied this, it was just amazing to me. The same enzymes that caterpillars use to digest food is the same enzymes that they literally use to almost like digest themselves, I guess you could say, or not. And it becomes like inside this chrysalis, it becomes this caterpillar-like soup, right?
Right.
And then what happens is, this is why I say you cannot tell me there isn't a God, because I mean, to take this mush that's inside this chrysalis and turn it into this beautiful butterfly that we see. And so I took that name because when the purpose of the podcast, it's a platform for those that are managing a mental health condition to show the world that you can live and thrive. You can live successfully and thrive in spite of a mental health condition. And that through our experiences and the things that we've gone through, this is how we're able to survive. This is how we're able to thrive. And so what I wanted to do, when I think about the chrysalis, I think about the profound changes I've had to undergo in order to be who I am today, to be that person that people see. I'm more than just my diagnosis. I'm more than just having bipolar or generalized anxiety disorder or PTSD. I'm more than that, and so I had to go through a change. I had to go through a transformation to get to that point. And so those that are living with a mental health condition, we have to go through certain things to get to where we are today. And we're still growing. We're still transforming. We're still becoming that beautiful creature that God has intended for us to be. And so inside the chrysalis is just basically meaning inside ourselves, inside what it's going to take to make us a better person. And so we share those stories so that we can erase the stigma associated with mental health, because it is a big stigma. I mean, even though now more people are talking about it due to the pandemic, people are starting to see the seriousness of being aware of your mental health. They're starting to see the seriousness of mental illness. And so but there's still a stigma. You still hear people say, like down here in Georgia, the running joke is about the weather. And then people would say, oh, this weather is acting bipolar. Well, I take offense to that because I do have bipolar 2 disorder. And, unless you understand it, it's more than just, your emotions flipping like a switch on and off. It's more than that. It's deeper than that. And so that's what Inside the Chrysalis is about, why I chose that name. And 2, that's what it is about. That's 2 is why I wanted to, I guess, share my story with others and have others share their story. So I have a lot of people come in. My guests are people who either manage a mental health condition and they share how they're living successfully, or they are family members of someone that is living with a mental health condition. And what they do is they share their story of how they support that person to live successfully.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can be on your show because, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have to set that up
ASAP.
Yes.
Are you coming home anytime soon
Uh,
for a visit?
well, my grandmother is 90. I can't remember. Is she going to be 93 or 94? I can't remember. But her birthday is on Thanksgiving this year. And I was thinking about driving up, but that's a 10-hour drive because I don't want to fly. Not that I'm scared of flying, but it's like when you fly, then you got to go rent a car because I don't want to depend on anybody else to take me anywhere. I want to be able to come and go. So that's why I said, let me just drive. So I'm not quite sure yet. I'm not, if my son lives down here now. And so if he gets off, if he's able to get off, I think we're going to take that drive to Baltimore. That's the goal. That's the hope.
Okay. Our event is that Sunday before Thanksgiving. And I just found out a couple of days ago that I'm not going out of town for Thanksgiving. So I will be here. So you put your head together and I'll put my head together and we can knock our heads on each other and we figure out where we're gonna feed the homeless at.
Okay.
If I'm
And
not
I can
gonna be
connect you to some people in the area, but you probably know everybody already.
do I? You say?
I said I could try to connect you to, if I can't make it, I could try to connect you to some people in the area, but you already know a lot of people.
Mm-mm. No, I'll figure out where you at. I'll come get you. You laughing? I'm serious. You know I am too.
I know
I'm like,
you
sure,
are.
I'm like, sure day. We gotta go get Latesha, yo. She's in town for a couple
I
days.
miss Shorty too. I miss him. I haven't talked to him in so long. You and Shorty, something else, both of y'all.
Hey, that's Chicago.
Mm,
Yeah, so that's the game plan.
okay. You said the Sunday before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's in the works. I'll have that event page up tomorrow. I hope. I said this weekend, so I got a day or two to play with. Because I want to start promoting it now. We with getting a partnership with Morgan and having an abundance of more volunteers and donations, and that's just gonna grow, especially with the holidays. I was gonna try to bounce back up to every week with doing events, but I'm gonna just hold off until after the new year, and then come January, um, talk about it between Thanksgiving and Christmas with everybody, as far as the coordinators. And if it's a go, then first week of January we're gonna start doing every week again.
Oh, okay.
So I was hoping to rejuvenate DC with getting them back in a mix of things, but I'm gonna just hold off until after the holidays because it's just too much trying to do everything for so long by yourself again
Mm-hmm.
and not having the reliability of volunteers. Different strokes every time. So not that I don't appreciate them because I do, but I need that reliability and having a partnership with Morgan. Okay, so I'm guaranteed 10, 20, 30 people. I'm guaranteed that they're going to come out with tables. I'm guaranteed that they're going to come out with donations of different various things that we need for the people, for the feminine products, hygiene products, water. You ain't got to worry about food unless you want to, because you
Right.
know me, I do all the cooking. Um, I'm booking Shorty for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so I don't know exactly what I'm gonna get. I'll probably get the same old hamburgers and chicken, and I'm gonna get someone to, if not cook, assist him with cooking, so he's not doing it all himself because he
Right.
doesn't at all himself. I don't care how hot or cold and how much he loves doing it. He doesn't need to be doing that mess all the time by himself. That's too much on
Right.
any. Um, so I got that to take care of. It's just it's a lot, and I'm not complaining. I love it. this ain't work. Work is what you do 9 to 5. And
it's purpose.
exactly, it's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking is my serenity. Like I'm over with family right now, and they were like, they said, whatever, the third dinner. And I said, y'all can do what y'all want, but I'm cooking. I don't feel like going nowhere. Now tomorrow night, no, we going out. We're gonna step out. We're gonna get some grub. We're gonna get some drinks, and just take it in for a minute. I'm here through Sunday evening. Go back to work Monday, so it's a nice little 4.5 day getaway.
That's good.
Get my thoughts together. Get my mind right. Get
That's
some needed R&R. Just constant ripping and running between work and getting to work, getting home, stepping back out, going here, going there, running errands, taking care of business, meeting with people for different various things for the foundation. Trying to get everything on a routine basis with the show again. I'm running myself ragged. Um, I was gonna try to do the clothing line again, but again, I think I'm gonna hold off on it until after the New Year's. But who knows? Because I'm eager, and you know how I am when I get eager. I don't want to wait, but I
right.
don't want to jump in the deep end when I don't know how to swim.
Right. Right.
So, I gotta talk to one of my business partners about it because we got a designer that's ready to rock and roll with it. So if not anything, can we get these hoodies and these t-shirts done?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get a special order for some VIP ladies to get some things done. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but this year has definitely flown by.
Yes, it has. It's gone so yeah. We look up and it's about to be December.
Like, oh my God, it's only Monday. Don't complain. Before you know it, it'll be Friday.
Right. Right. Right.
It's crazy how, like, my days off, if I don't have nothing planned, I don't plan nothing. No, let me sit still. Because if my phone goes off and I gotta go somewhere, there goes my R&R. So no,
Right.
let me sit still for a minute. Let me enjoy this, embrace it. And I'm just like, I can't believe how fast time is going.
Yes.
Like I have done absolutely nothing but lay here. And 2-3 hours have gone by just like that. And I'm like, I don't feel like I've laid here 30 minutes. So time is definitely not on our side, unfortunately. So
No. That's why we got to walk and live in purpose. And you're doing just that with your organization.
don't believe the hype. Myself, I appreciate everybody, but I thank you for the compliment. I don't get enough of it. I don't know if you did explain this. Explain the jade chrysalis.
Okay, I did. I did. So,
Okay.
you talking about my
never mind.
the jade chrysalis? No, I explained inside the chrysalis. That was the name of the podcast. The jade chrysalis is the name of my LLC. So as you can see that I am like just this thing with chrysalis. It's the same thing what a chrysalis is. And the chrysalis, the monarch butterfly, their chrysalis when it first is formed is jade. It's a jade color, and it has like gold speckles on it at the top part, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And so it represents to me, it represents the beginning of change, the beginning of transformation. And so the Jade Chrysalis LLC is it is my for-profit company. It's my for-profit organization, or my company in which I use my company in which I where I have an enrichment academy. I also have I through the J Chrysalis, I also do a lot of speaking engagements and things like that. So it's my LLC that encompasses everything that I'm doing far as reaching out to others. The purpose of the company is so that we can empower people, not just empower, but help people to evolve, become that person that they're trying to be. So that is what the J Chrysalis is about. It's a coaching and mentoring company as well. So I do a lot of coaching and mentoring of not just adult, young people, but adults as well. So it's my company where I use to just do those things that I need to do to help others in the community. So I have my nonprofit, and then I have the LLC.
Now, question.
Mm-hmm.
You see what's going on in Chicago in December, right?
No, what's going on?
I'll be tagging you. Shamika Olive.
Oh, the empowerment. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you going?
No, I would not be able to make it.
Don't act like that. I will come down to Atlanta and get you.
I would love to go.
We'll make it happen. You got 6 weeks.
Yes, you're right.
I got my plane ticket. I got my hotel reservations. I'm ready to go. I don't know. I want to do the media for it.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta contact Shamika and set up a meeting with her.
Okay.
All the ins and outs and the details and what exactly she would want, what I would like to do, because I ain't ever done nothing like that. But I'm interested.
It looked like it's going to be interesting.
It looks like it's going to be a whole lot of interesting.
Yeah.
I can do
that. But that's what the J Chrysalis is basically about, to help others be equipped, empowered, and evolved to carry out what they have to carry out. Because when you go through the Chrysalis, you got to get those things that you need to be. So, to carry out your purpose.
Okay. See, you need to go because you're a speaker.
I would love to get in contact with her and see what that's about. See if I am able to get up there.
Yeah, got to. And going home, I'm gonna have a feed home this evening. I have to.
That would be great to have it all in the same weekend.
That's right. You already know.
I know.
You got a question for me?
No, Mark, when I first moved down here, only reason why I'm thinking about this is because I'm looking at her sitting on the floor. When I first moved down here, it was just me, and I got so lonely down here. I ended up having 3 cats. Don't ask me why that thought just came about.
You took a picture and was like, this is the only time I can get them together at one time.
Right. So you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So my son he came back and visited me, and then he took 2 of the cats back up. So my mother has the other 2. And I had my one that I originally had. The one that I have now, her name is Aaliyah. And people laugh like, how you give her? My cat is named Aaliyah, and I love Aaliyah. My students in Baltimore actually found her. We were out at recess, and we were coming back from recess, and they heard this kitten crying in the bushes. And she was only 6 weeks old, and she was just crying. And I looked, and I reached in, and I picked her up, and she's been my baby ever since. So, I'm just, the only reason why I'm thinking about it is because I'm just sitting here looking at her, just doing her Aaliyah thing. Aaliyah. And she just looking at me like, go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. Don't bother me. Cats is.
All right. Now, inquiring minds want to know. Explain that big old portrait behind you.
Wait a minute. You see it? That's me.
Oh, I know it was you. I've seen that picture of you before. I don't remember where, but I've seen it.
Yeah, I put it. This is old. You said you want to know about the picture?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when I snapped this picture. It's actually it was taken with my cell phone.
Wow.
Yeah, just take it with my cell phone. Found a black and white filter, turned it to black and white, call it a day.
Now, I don't know how I overlooked this. You're a published author. When did you write a book?
So I co-authored a book. I co-authored a book. So it's myself and I think 22 other women. We are all CEOs.
I saw that.
Mm-hmm. So it's women. Oh, it's a prayer book. It's a book for women who are in business. And what we do is we wrote prayers. It's like a devotional for women who are in business. And we wrote prayers and devotions to help them to stay grounded and to stay focused and to stay within their purpose as they're moving forward in their business sector, wherever realm that they're in, as far as business concerned. And so that's what it's about. And so I'm excited. Yeah.
You ever thought about writing a book?
I did, and I'm actually doing that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot. So I think instead of writing, I think I'm gonna do like I did with this one, because I was invited to be a part of it. So it's an anthology. So I think instead of me just writing my own book, I think I'm gonna do another anthology. I already have my idea on what I want to do the anthology on, and just invite other authors the same way I was invited to this one. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that instead, and until I can get to, I feel like I can do so much when I'm not working. Like when the summertime comes, or when we have like those 2-week breaks for school, for because we get like 2 weeks for the winter break, and so I can get so much done. But when school starts, it's just my focus is just on the students and these lessons, and it's hard. It's really hard to get the book out like I want to. I have at least one chapter done, but the sad part about it, people go, "Oh, that's good. You got at least one chapter." But no, I've been working on this since January. Like I should have more than one chapter. And so it's just a lot. So my hope is with my enrichment academy through my LLC, I can make enough money where I can come out of the classroom. Or even with that, just coming out of the classroom period, when I finish my degree in the next couple of weeks, just come out the classroom so I can have more time for me and the things that I like to do.
Right.
Because my mind is just all of my students. So it's like it's when you're a teacher, your life is just like your life is your school almost. It just feels like that. It's like you take work. I got a bag full of work and things I got to do now, like papers and stuff I got to grade, and but my passion is what I'm doing with the J Chrysalis. My passion is what I do with the Diva Effect, which I know you understand. Like you have your job, and I love my job. I love working with the kids, but that's not my passion, and it's not what I'm really passionate. It's not what I'm passionate about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm passionate. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like my LLC, the J Crystals or the Enrichment Academy. I am working with children. I am teaching. I am doing my passion. But to do it in a school system, that's not my passion, because it's just my hands are tied. It's too much red tape. It's too much other stuff. Yeah,
I get it. It's it gets overwhelming. Like, I'm not required to work but whatever my scheduled time is. But because I need to get other things done 3 or 4 days out of the week, I'm working 10, 12, 14, 16 hours. It's a lot. I can do it. It's a lot. And I don't complain because I know I'm gonna have that one day out of the week that I ain't got to do nothing. I ain't got to go nowhere. So a lot of my behind the scenes work that I need to get done, I can actually get it done and take my time doing it. My problem is I take too much time when I have that free time. But when with doing it like that, I tend to not make so many unwarranted errors. I get messages from people all the time. Yeah, I don't think this message was sent for me. Yes, it was. I'm trying to do 3 things at once, and I'm sleepy and tired, but I ain't ready to go to bed because I got deadlines. So I mean, it is what it is. If I had, if I was an octopus, I'd be good. If I had an assistant, I'd be good. If I had everything that I had before COVID, I would be good. But it's a stepping stone. You
It
know,
is.
you gotta crawl before you can walk. You gotta walk before you can run. You gotta run before you can leap. So it's trials and tribulations have run deep in my neighborhood. Um, I'm finally grounded again to where I can start doing things again. I can spread my wings, figuratively speaking. Um, so you know, take it one day at a time. Pray to the man upstairs, and he'll continue to bless me and guide me. And that's all I can do. And that's where I gotta leave it. Leave everything. Um, it's you know what I mean.
Yeah. So let me, I've been on this thing. I'm reading this book called Your Purpose is Calling. And I know you're working in your purpose and everything, but I think you would love the book. You got to check it out. It's called Your Purpose is Calling. But say it again.
Text it to me.
I will. I definitely will. I think you will like it. But let me ask you something. Can I ask you something? Can I interview you for a second? That's a pre-interview to my podcast interview.
You can flip the switch and interview me.
Why, a lot of people, I think what I'm running, and maybe it's just the people in my circle, the people that I'm running to. A lot of people are really trying to understand their purpose, why they're here put on this earth, trying to walk into their calling and things like that. And I see that you're doing it. You're doing what you know that God has called you to do. Can you share with me and others like a lot of people think it's easy. When you walk in your purpose, it's easy. There's no challenges, but but you face trials, you face difficulties. What is that like for you? What are the challenges like for you, that even though you know this is your purpose and this is your calling, there are still challenges that you face? Do you sometimes get discouraged at times when walking into that calling?
I get discouraged a lot because I want to be able to do this. I want to be successful with doing what I'm doing. I want people to stop making excuses, stop telling that story. Quite frankly, stop lying and BSing. Just say you don't want to be bothered because you don't care. I got so many people that say, "Oh, I love what you do." That's funny because actions are louder than words. How do you love? Oh, I support what you do. No, you don't, because you've never shown support. Volunteer. You, what you're throwing away, you could probably donate. If any man or woman can look in their closet, and if they could say, like me, if I have something in my closet and I ain't worn it in 6 months, there's a good chance I'm not gonna wear it. I can donate that. I throw it away. Someone's trash is someone else's treasure. Like, my mom came out one day, within the first couple years of starting my foundation, and says, "Wow, you have a lot of volunteers." And I looked around and I said, "Where?" She says, "All the people." I said, "Mom, those are homeless people." She says, "They look really nice." Yeah, you donate clothes, I donate clothes, and 4 or 5 other people donate clothes. And guess what? You got a couple trash bags of clothes that now the homeless can, if they like it and they want it and it's their size, they can have it. So we don't ask people to go shopping. If you do, by all means, that's on you. You know what I mean? It's a tax write-off. Um, the only thing I've ever asked people to go buy is socks or undergarments, underwear for men, women, kids. Because hand-me-downs, no.
Right. That ain't disgusting.
That's nasty.
Yes, it's very nasty.
You're gonna
So
wear
I mean,
no. So,
so I guess I asked that question because I don't think people,
it's a headache.
Yeah.
Before COVID, we were getting all the donations, financially. We had the financial support, the financial backing. We don't have that right now. Not to say people don't send in donations, but before COVID, we were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations. So we could go to Walmart and get all the little toiletries and hygiene products and feminine products, spending $3, $4, $5, $600 like it's nothing every week for Baltimore and DC. I'm going to the grocery store every week and spending $500, $600 in the military commissary. And that $500, $600 is in there is well over $1,000 on outside. Like, I went to Safeway Sunday. I woke up late, still had to go to the store. Alarm didn't go off, don't know why. So I was literally running behind 3 hours. I ended up being an hour and a half late for the event. I apologized to everyone. Everyone was cool. And we ended up staying an extra hour and a half to make up that hour and a half. It was never discussed. I think people just figured, hey, until a certain time, I can stay late. So it was cool that we were able to do that. I'm not normally late, at least not that late. But the financial burden is overwhelming. So that's where my discouragement comes from. You got people, oh, I want to invest in you. Stop saying it and do it.
Yeah, yes. It's a down here in one of the stores, in Pond City Market. There's a store that sells like local products from local people, like clothing and stuff like that, people in the area. And they have this big sign that says support is a verb.
It is.
And I love it.
To to book Shorty, you and I both know Shorty does not come cheap. I'm not gonna say on here what my fee is, because my fee ain't gonna be someone else's fee.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he's not cheap. He's reasonable for everything that he does, but it's a service. If you
Right.
want service and you want real good service, you gotta pay for it.
Right.
DJs, not all DJs are gonna do something for free. You know, they're gonna give you a minor fee. So, you know, we've been very lucky with having the partnership with the Masons, with Falcon Lodge #6 and Eagle Lodge #8 for, God, 5-6 years now. We've met so many people over the years. That's how me and you met. That's how I met Naomi, who is the person that got me into the radio podcast. I think I was not just through the calling. I think I was pushed into this about 20 more. Yes, everyone, that's my mom. Like, I owe a lot to one person outside of God. I don't think I tell him enough, but he knows I mean well. And that's a guy named Derek Chase. He taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about promotions. He taught me a lot about organizing. He taught me a lot about hosting. So I think that's why when I was given the opportunity to come to Be Exposed Radio, I think I jumped at it because I was ready for another purpose. I've known Derek for, God, 8-9 years, maybe 10. I've learned so much from him, and I'm grateful. I can't thank him enough, because if I wasn't doing all this, what purpose would I have besides going to work and raising my kid? I wish I would have done a lot of different things differently in life. But I mean, everything in life is a purpose. Everything in life is something that you take from so you can learn.
Yeah.
Doing what I do, I try to never complain, because at the end of the day, it can be a whole lot worse.
Right.
And in there, you know, it's no secret. Not everyone knows, but it's no secret because I've said it on here and other radio shows. I went through homelessness. I didn't lose everything. I didn't make bad choices in life. Shit just happened. So I was literally slaving away at work, working 70 hours a week, because I had a 565 a week bill that I had to pay every week. At the time, I didn't, other than my management and a couple coworkers, there might be 4 or 5 people in my circle that knew what I was going through and what I was dealing with. My family knew, my kids knew, but I had no life. Like, I was really burning myself out. I literally went to work, and I came home. Like, I remember 1 week, well, no, 2 weeks. I literally worked almost open to close every day for 13 days
Oh, wow.
because I had this bill that if I don't pay it, I'm out in the street. So that wasn't an option. Going out was not an option. Socializing was not an option. If you want me, this is what I need you to do. And those 2 or 3 real friends, they did that. So God is good. God puts certain people in your circle for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my business partner came to me with a proposal, and I was like, "How can I say no? I'm getting out this hotel. You're automatically saving me $400 to $500 a week. Um, I don't like where I live, but it is what it is. It serves a purpose. It's not the best, it's not the greatest, but it's feasible. It's livable. It's a roof over my head. You know what I mean? My rent ain't nowhere near what it used to be. I mean, you might as well say I was paying rent for a mansion.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I was paying almost 25-50 a month.
Wow.
I still had transportation to deal with to go back and forth to work. So I've been through some things. I got some stories that I don't share with a lot of people, but somewhere, somehow, I end up spilling it on here. And it is what it is because everyone has a story.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you should always be able to share your story because it might help somebody in their situation that they're going through.
Right.
So,
Right.
I miss you in Baltimore.
Say it again.
I miss you in Baltimore.
Oh, I miss y'all too. Yes, I do. Well, I was called down here, so I needed to do what I got to do down here. Be able to take it and do something with it back home in Baltimore.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you open that. What'd you say you want to open?
I wanted a community resource center.
You know where you want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not going to tell me.
No.
You're not supposed to spill everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that one. I want to take one of those old dilapidated buildings in Baltimore and turn it into a community resource center. I don't know how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but one day it's going to happen. Yeah. I was listening to this, who was it? I listened to a lot of podcasts. What I do is, one thing my pastor tells me, which I love, he said, people they spend so much money on themselves that they don't spend enough money in investing in themselves. And when you think about it, it's like, people walking around with all this, and you see it in Baltimore a lot with this expensive this and expensive that. And it's like, how much are you, all that money that you're putting on you should be taking that money and putting it in you. So anyway, I said all to say, I do a lot to invest in my personal growth and development. And so I listen to like certain podcasts that keep me like I'm big on leadership. So I listen to podcasts that's about leadership, like Andy Stanley and John Maxwell, Pastor Darius Daniels. Like I listen to their podcasts because they get that it's of substance. So speaking of Andy Stanley, one of these that so now I forgot what I was going to say right in the middle. I forgot. But anyway, my purpose, what I was just trying to say is just we have to be careful of how much we put on ourselves and look at much of how much we investing in ourselves. It was something I was going to say about, I can't believe I forgot. That's how you know I'm getting old.
Hey, if you're getting old, then I'm really getting old because I do that.
Oh my gosh. But it was something that Andy Stanley said that was very powerful, very powerful. And he's a leadership podcaster, very well known. And it was just something he said about remind me, what would we start? Where did I start it off at first? I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yep, me too.
But anyway, I you know what? I'll think about it when I go to bed. But we do. I'm serious. I would. But I mean, if anything, if anybody could take from what I said, trying to lead up to what I was trying to say, is that it's very important for us to really do more than just putting money on ourselves, but actually find ways to invest in who we are. You know, doing better, finding our purpose, developing our talents, developing our gifts, you know, things like that.
Right.
Figure it out. Eventually I figure out. Watch, right before we get off, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I knew I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's a lot. It definitely is. But I mean, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So when am I coming on your show?
Well, and my producer is going to be gone for the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to call him tonight, find out a date, and I'll text you the date. So you're going to share your story about anything dealing with mental health.
Sure.
Because that's the platform.
Mental health.
Say it again.
We all got a little bit of mental health issues.
Okay. It's not issues. It's not issues. It's your blessing. It's what you use to help others.
I'm helpful sometimes.
Yeah.
I can be rude other times.
You what other times?
I can be rude other times.
I mean, hey, we all have our days.
Let that bear come out the cage, though.
We all have our days. And it's okay.
It's gonna be all right because I got God on my side. I don't
Amen.
know I was gonna ask you a question. See, we're getting old. Don't laugh at me. I'm old and I got feelings.
And I cannot believe in the middle of me talking, I forgot. I was like, wait a minute, where was I going with this? So I'm mad now because I know it was profound.
Boy.
Yes.
Oh, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you what you were talking about. You were talking about leadership and what your pastor had told you.
That's our producer right there.
Oh, okay. Leadership. And then what my pastor has told me about leadership. Now I forgot what I was going to say about, but let me show you some things I've learned about leadership. Well, maybe if I start talking about leadership, then I'll remember what my pastor says about leadership. But one of the things I've learned, and it's difficult, is that leadership is a responsibility and not a reward. That's one of the things that I've learned as it relates to going into leadership. It's John Maxwell teaches that, you know, if you are basically leadership is serving others. And so I feel like when you're in that position of walking in your calling and walking in your blessing and things like that, if you're not, walking in your purpose, if you're not realizing that it is a responsibility and that you need to, it's not going to be a fun thing. It's not going to always be a fun thing. It's not going to be an easy thing, but this is what you were called to do. This is what you were purposed to do. This is what you were walking in, God, one of the things my pastor says, when you if you don't understand the purpose of a thing, you're going to abuse it. And so if you don't understand the purpose of why you're here, you may misuse yourself. You may misuse the gifts that God has given you, misuse the talents that God has given you. And so when I sit and look at you and some of the things that you're doing in the community, and then when I think of others that's in the community doing things, using our gifts, our talents, our resources and things like that, we have to be careful and remember that this is a responsibility, that we are responsible for carrying out our purpose in the earth on what God has called us to do, and so that's what I remember a lot about leadership. But it was something else about leadership that I wanted to say, and I'm so mad. I wish I could remember it. Maybe I have to come back on here the next time and I'll tell you.
It was leading to from what your pastor said, and then you said it was about the podcast. Adam.
Andy Stanley.
Yeah.
But I can't remember. Like, I've literally drawn a blank. I'm gonna have to sit. I'm one of the people, I'm gonna have to sit and really be quiet for a minute, and then it'll come back to me.
Pop in your head.
Yes, it'll come back to me. But I would say that good, anybody that is going into leadership, that wants to do anything as it relates to leadership, should check out John Maxwell, his books. He has a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I really invest, when I tell you I invest in, learning about those things that, learning about, I invest in myself. I'm serious about it. I have so many books by John Maxwell, and, it's not even funny. Andy Stanley, listen to his podcast as well. I just think that, one of the things I would love for people in Baltimore City that I've, the people that I've helped in Baltimore City and the population that I was helping, I would love to see them invest more in themselves and it doesn't take that much. Once you start investing a little bit by just starting off reading, you know what I mean? And it'll grow, and you will and eventually you'll get to the funding where you can invest more into yourself. I just that's one of my hopes that for Baltimore City is that, because that's one of the things that would bother me before I left. I was just seeing so much of the hopelessness, and then I was just seeing just people just giving up, and then when it comes to people like you and I who are passionate about what we're doing, the weight is so heavy and you get tired and burned out sometimes, you know what I mean? And so I just would love for people to just really start investing in themselves. It doesn't take that much. You can go to the library and get some of these books for free. Just invest in yourself, invest in your mind, do something to better yourself. I'm not saying, I don't want to say the whole thing and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, because what if you don't have the bootstraps to pull yourself up from? But start somewhere, and that was the thing that was just for me, what was a little bit depressing for me when I was leaving Baltimore is just, there are so many resources in Baltimore. There are so many resources. The sad part is, a lot of the underserved communities either don't know about it because it's not enough information going out about these things, or some of it is that people are just not taking advantage of it because when I was up there with my nonprofit, one of the things I liked doing was connecting the underserved population to resources in the community, because they didn't know about some of these resources that existed that were available in the community. Right. And so it's just, that's my passion really in life. Like I said, my whole purpose and calling is to I have what's called a personal calling statement. And everything that I do is centered around this personal calling statement. If it does not align to my personal calling statement, I don't do it, because it's a waste of my time. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to those that I associate myself with, if it's not, aligning to my purpose, if it's distracting, because I looked at sometimes the enemy will send distractions in various forms to take you off of your purpose. But my purpose calling statement is to invest in the underserved so that they will acquire the skills, responsibilities, and opportunities to be all God intended for them to be. That is the population that I'm talking about. I'm focusing on the underserved, whether it be the homeless population. So like when I went and helped with you, when I volunteered with you in some of your events, it aligned to my purpose, because I was investing in the homeless population by contributing something, what I mean, that will help them in some way, shape, or form, but I wanted to do more with my nonprofit. I wanted to go beyond that and actually instill skills, invest in helping them to invest in themselves. So like we would do things like have financial literacy workshops, helping women that had dealt with domestic violence or intimate partner abuse, how to get out of those situations safely, things like that. And so, I mean, I feel you. It's like, I really feel you. And the reason why I mentioned leadership, and hopefully it'll come back to me. The reason why I mentioned leadership is because that's what you're doing, and what you're doing is leadership, and what comes with it is responsibility, and it's a lot. It's a lot, and I don't think people get that sometimes. They may sit back and look and be like, "Oh, you're doing all these wonderful things," and blah blah blah. Like, when you're doing these things, it comes at a price. But if I was, as the word says, well, I don't know if that is in the word, but I know it. I've heard people say, "Too much is given, much is required." I guess I rambled on enough.
It's like dealing with the community as a whole. So I mean, that's everything. That's every walk of life of people. I never thought I'd get involved with domestic issues, and we had left Dave and Buster's at Around the Mills one night, and we stopped by the gas station. Okay, it's midnight. What is this woman doing out here with 3 little girls? And she just looks lost and confused. And you're at a gas station, you're panhandling. I'm gonna mind my business. Maybe you're not panhandling. Maybe you're waiting on a ride. Maybe your car broke down. You called somebody, called a tow truck, whatever. So as I'm in the store looking for something to drink, I'm thinking about this woman like, no, not on my watch. I gotta ask, because this is what my foundation is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's helping, no matter what your situation is. So if there's anything I can do, I'm gonna do it. And I told my homeboy, I was like, yo, you got me? He was like, what's up? I said, the woman outside with 3 girls, she got me? He said, what's up? What we getting ready to do? I said, well, I guess we ain't going to Fridays yet. And, I went out there and I talked to her, introduced myself, told her what I do. And I was like, are you okay? Because you don't look okay. And she was like, I gotta get a ride out of town. This, that, whatever. My boyfriend's at work, and I don't have no cell phone. I don't have no money. I got bags for me and my girls, and I walked out. And I said, walked out of what? She said, I walked out of my situation of 7 years of hell. And at the time, I think her daughters were like, oh God, don't quote me, because it's been every bit of 2.5 years, I think. Maybe, let's see, this is 2002, 2001. It's been over 2 years. But to make a long story short, this woman was estranged from her family in North Carolina, was led to believe they were moving to the Midwest, but they moved to Baltimore. She'd never worked. Girls weren't allowed to go outside and play. She wasn't with no one. Like, this man had her under his control, under his spell. Like, this woman had no skill of nothing. And she was like, this, that, whatever, and the third. I've been communicating with my cousin. So I was like, well, I need to talk to your cousin, because we about to get you some help. So me and my homeboy, I contacted a couple people, and they was like, send me your Cash App, send me your PayPal. I'm gonna send you something. Let's get this woman and her girls up off the street. Let's get her in a hotel or something. Make sure they got some food, some something to drink, something. Right. So I took her to a hotel there. I know everybody. I know the management. I know the chef. I know the bartenders. I know the cleaning staff and the front desk people. And I was like, this, that, whatever, the third, blah, 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 rah, 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 da, 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 bare minimum 3 days. I don't care if she stays here 3 days, but we need bare minimum 3 days, because we're trying to help this woman reconnect with her family that's out of state. But again, to make a long story short, hotels don't care as long as you don't trash the rooms for, or could care less. So I over the course of that moment and the next morning, I talked to a handful of people. Handful of people sent me money, and we were able to get this woman. I think she was in a hotel for 2 days. Got her food for 2 days. Her girls. Got her one-way bus tickets for all four of them, to a destination out of state. And we were in communications with her cousin for, I must say, the better part of 4 months, like on a weekly basis. And when you're in that type of situation for so long, what if he finds a way to get in contact with you? And he, whatever he can possibly say to trigger something in you, and you're like, okay, if you come get me, I'll come back home. So that was our biggest fear. Like, at the end of the day, it ain't about you, it's about your girls. Right. That are suffering as well. Probably right. You mentally, you're dealing with all the physical abuse and mental abuse, but your kids are suffering from the mental abuse. That's right. They're going to grow up, and this is going to follow them. So, like, you have to get them into some professional type of counseling. You got to get them enrolled in school once you get down there and get situated. But she had a close-knit family, and they all came together, and look, it's one day at a time, and that's all we can do. Right. But Girls were doing good. They were in school. They were in counseling. She had picked up a part-time job, and her family was like, she's good. You know, if she wanted to talk to me, she did, but I don't need to talk to you. I need to know how you're doing because you're no longer in our format. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So I talked to her cousin. I've talked to her probably 4 times in the last year and a half. I've talked to her cousin probably 7, 8 times. So I mean, we're still in communications. But you know, they have their good days, they have their bad days. You know, 7 years is a long time for her. So
To be in that situation, prayerfully things are getting better for her.
and let's be real, that's not a situation, that's a spell.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Yep. I had a cousin that was in a situation like that, and the only way she escaped it was that he died in a car accident.
and that's something.
That was the only way. She could not escape it. She tried, and to this day, she still she has some type of still have some type of emotional connection to it. She still doesn't see it as it being a unhealthy and toxic situation.
Right.
You know? And it's sad.
It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. We all ask for help every now and then. I'm good. Give me a hug. That'll help me brighten up my day. So before I come out here and be like, what are y'all doing? It's almost 9 o'clock. We gotta cut this. We gotta cut this show. We might have heard from Miss Latesha. I appreciate you. I love you. I look forward to coming on your show sometime soon. I look forward to having you back sometime after the holidays.
Okay.
And hopefully you can make it to Chicago for that women's empowerment summit.
Yes.
That would be fabulous. Shout out to Mika for having that. A bigger shout out to her for taking it home. Gives me a reason to go to Chicago. It's gonna be wonderful. Hey, it is what it is. Don't wear a coat out here. Wear your coat out here, but when you get out there, buy a coat out there so you won't be so cold.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Skylyne. I was ready to say Skylyne Foundation. This is Skylyne Radio Show on Be Exposed Radio. I thank you all for tuning in tonight. Again, shout out to Miss Latesha Higgs, originally from Baltimore, doing things her way down in the hot ATL. We will see you next week right here on Skylyne Radio Show on Be Exposed Radio. Peace and blessings.